She has been a steady and groundbreaking leader of our King 5 family for the past 36 years. Next month on Friday, June 14th, Lori Matsukawa signs off and heads into retirement. Her incredible career reporting award-winning stories of the people here in the Pacific Northwest has taken her around the globe. Lori joins me now to reflect on all of this. And you are working, you know, while we're doing all these extra things with you. You've got your phone,
got my
and your
phone,
key card and your
key
media
card.
in case you need to jet out of
right
here.
after this interview, I'm going to jet upstairs and start writing.
Thank you for coming in, though, and letting us pay tribute to you, first of all, and congratulate you and just find out what's next. But let's start with maybe people who haven't lived here for all of this time, might not know how you started in the business. Talk to us about that.
Originally, when I was in high school, I thought I would be a piano teacher. And so I said, I have to go to college, and was looking around for college scholarships. And the craziest thing happened. A friend said, you might want to enter this contest. It's Miss Teenage America. You get a $10,000 scholarship. And the best thing is, you don't have to wear a bathing suit. So you might have a chance. So I entered this contest.
Look at this.
Oh my gosh, I win the contest. So for my senior year in high school, I'm spending half the time going to school, half the time traveling. Got into Stanford University, and here I am on my little audition tape in San Francisco. And I started thinking, you know, everywhere I traveled as Miss Teenage America, I was interviewed by a journalist. Maybe I don't want to be a piano teacher. Maybe I want to be a journalist.
I'm so glad you decided to do that. I'm so glad. What are some of the more memorable stories as you're kind of, you know, you probably don't look back on this time the way the rest of us perceive you, but when you look back on it, what do you find most memorable?
Well, the most personally memorable story was pulling 9 Gs in an F-16. That really rocked, and I didn't throw up or anything.
That's so good. That's so good. And you didn't have a G suit on, right?
I did have a G suit.
Okay.
So that helped.
But anyway, that's pretty good.
But I think as a highlight, it's got to be following then Governor Gary Locke to his first trade mission to China.
Right.
It was 10 days of being on the road, following him. And during the day, we followed him. During the evenings, Dave Wyke, my photographer, and I had to do the writing and the editing. And we were feeding back these stories to Seattle. It was grueling, but what an adventure. Because he went to the Great Wall, he went to Hong Kong, he went to his ancestral village where he was a total, I mean, the whole tour, he was a total rock star.
And I think that was the first time we back here really saw what his impression was in China, what he had done in terms of visibility in China. And that was very, very meaningful for our audience and for people here. Let's talk about the Olympics. You got to do that.
That was thrilling because it was Apollo Ono's first Olympics, the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics. It was just so much fun. And then at the 2010 one, you can see this photo with the torch. I was chosen to run with the Olympic torch for the 2010 Olympics.
Like?
It's so exhilarating because they pick people who have overcome many challenges, or people who are continuing to help people who are overcoming challenges. So it was a real honor, and my husband and son were there along the route. We were running through the streets of Tacoma. It was so thrilling, and then going back to the first Olympics with Apollo Ono, we didn't know that he was going to be the
breakout
star that he became.
And he was, and that meant so much again to us. You also you won an Emmy last year. That's
my first one in 40 years.
Which is weird, right? I mean, that's just so strange because you've deserved a dozen. Tell us about what you won for last year.
I was very thrilled
that,
thank you. I was so thrilled because this was a meaningful project of mine. I really wanted to do a definitive description of the history of Japanese American incarceration during World War II. And so this was for 5 days. We did a story each day, which included the entire arc, not just the fact that they were incarcerated, but what happened to Japanese Americans after they came back. How did they get their grievance redressed, and then finally what young citizens today are doing about retelling the story, remembering the history so that it doesn't happen again in the arts.
You have been very active in the Asian American Journalists Association and breaking ground for people in this business and then mentoring others as they come up. Tell me a bit about how that felt for you as it was happening.
When I first decided to go into journalism, it was my print managing editor at the Honolulu Advertiser who said, you know, you might think of, have you ever thought of being a television journalist? They're hiring women nowadays. And that was kind of an eye-opener for me. You're right, there aren't enough women on TV. And so it was motivation to get into the business. And then women of color, just journalists of color in general. So
it's a brave thing to do, an important thing to do, to go someplace where people haven't necessarily shown you the way. You're blazing your own trail.
Right, and so we said, you know, we've got to prime the pump. We've got to get young journalists of color, you know, interested in the career, and then we want to get them to college, stay in college, get into the business, and when they get in, we have to help them move up. And the ultimate goal was to get, you know, journalists of color to become managers in the industry.
And we're still working towards that.
And we're still working toward it, but we are blessed because we have more women now, we have more women of color. It's just very exciting.
That is due to people like you. So we're, you know, I'm grateful to you. I think we all are, because we know that journalism is better and the world is better when everybody's voice is part of what's going on.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? I mean, how did you make this decision, and what is the next chapter, do you think?
Margaret, don't you think 36 years is a time to call it a career?
Yes, I've thought that about myself sometimes as well, so I'm very interested, because I may need to give this some thought myself.
I know.
If it looks like everybody else's, Dennis Bounds, all the people who've gone on to just kill retirement, they are doing so well. They're having so much fun. Do you have anything in particular you want to do?
Well, my good friend Ron Sims, former King County executive, said, Laurie, give yourself a full year of doing absolutely nothing. No commitments, no schedules other than your own. So I'm just going to give a year off a try.
That sounds pretty good.
I'm just going to see.
We have a lightning round. Let me just have 30 seconds to ask you a few lightning round questions. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes. I'm watching them retrospectively.
Okay, so I won't spoil anything.
Okay, I just started.
Oh my goodness.
But I read the book. But I read the book.
Last book you read?
Last book I'm currently reading called something called Second Mountain. It's about what to do once you're done with your career.
Oh, that's a good book for you to read right
Yes.
now. Maybe something. What season is your favorite?
What season of the year?
Weather. Yes.
Summer.
Summer. Do you make your bed every morning?
I don't. My husband does.
Oh, that's the best answer to that question ever. What is something you want to do, or a place you want to travel that you've never been or done before?
We're actually planning, my girlfriends and I are planning a trip. We always have a girls' trip this year, Bali.
Oh my goodness.
We are very excited.
I am looking forward to seeing your pictures in Bali when you're all done with things you have to do or times you have to get up. Thank you, Lori.
Margaret.
Thank you, honey.